video is about one of the bookends of two that belong to the path of wealth movement. In this case, wealth. And what I'm going to be sharing with you is a little bit about where does the term wealth, W-E-L-L-T-H, come from, as it's connected to wealth, W-E-A-L-T-H, which is connected to health, and how might they all weave together to create a really wonderful story. And I just got to acknowledge it just started to rain as I pulled out the camera outside and giving it a go and sharing in different kinds of weather situations. You can actually, I think, see the raindrops there, so that's great. So these three words of wealth, and health actually form well, wheel, and heal. And it comes from the sense of a hale and hearty life. And I'd like to unpack that for you, as well as give you insights into what I call the Wellth Clover, W-E-L-L-T-H, that actually brings the wealth with an A and health out as well. It's a way to do some self-assessment work and see where that takes you. It's something that I actually used when I was a college instructor back in the 90s. So we're talking 30 plus years ago. And it was an assignment that I gave to the learners in the course that I was instructing. It was Introduction to Recreation and Leisure. And I'm going to sort of assign it to you if you want to take it up, and then you can ask questions and see where it takes us. So let's see what unpacks for us today, and then I'm going to share a little bit more about my journey with YouTube and where we're going with subscribers and views and all that to keep you up to date with the journey, just in case it's the YouTube is a way that you want to bring your legacy story, contributions project for the world with the planet from the whole. So with that, I'm going to pop up now and I'm going to start walking back. I'm actually up at the head of the trail, and so I'm going to start heading back home now. And I might be walking into the rain, or I'm going to be walking beside the rain. So we'll see what happens. Well, made it back to the office and got rained on. The rain clouds didn't actually go beside us. It sort of actually fell on us in a slow drizzle and got a tad wet, but that's okay. Every once in a while, it's okay to get wet on a walk. Well, we made it back safe and sound, even with the thunder rolling through. So let's get into the presentation. Evolving extraordinary health, wealth, and wealth experiences, solo aging confidently. Welcome. And I'd just like to start off by sharing is that life, be in it, like you feel it, better, wiser, kinder. It's a statement that I'm going to start bringing forth, a very simple way of summarizing a lot of what it is that we're sharing through the wealth movement, along the path of wealth movement. And this notion of aging confidently is about finding freedom, focus, fun, and moving forward on the unique journey and adventures together. So each person has their own unique journey. And when we get together, we adventure together. And I believe that that is a really wonderful way of unfolding a life and being in it. So you like what you feel about it, and you're better, wiser, and kinder because of it. So the notion of age confidently, there are certain words that are core themes, albeit broad strokes, about what it means. And I wanted to share just a little bit of it to be able to set up this notion of connecting wealth, and health. And these words are acceptance and optimistic. Yeah, it brings forth this notion of wisdom, experience, resilience, the unique journey, the adventures together. And that is supported by physical, mental, emotional yes. Rather than going after the no's, go after the yeses and have the movement, the nourishment, the nurturement, preparation, prevention, and practice that you can weave together. So that what you can do is have this continuous improvement and learning as you deal with the challenges and find the opportunities, the potential, as you improve your skills, find your interests, and look for that ideas that expands things and extends things in your life. So what you can do is shape and share a legacy, the purpose that you wish to share through some kind of project, story, contributions, using the creative process and the direction that you want to take this meaningful, impactful involvement with um, with the planet, for the world, and from the whole. These three words of health, wealth, and wealth, they were born out of my work in Africa. I had just finished up some work in Uganda in support of HIV and AIDS and disaster preparedness. I was heading back and I was asked by the League of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, would I support a delegate training program, Norwegian delegates and African delegates getting together. And I said, sure. And that meant that I had the opportunity to meet some really interesting characters along the way. And one was head of delegation in Ethiopia. And he had been involved with the famine that had gone through Ethiopia that we heard about over the years. And he introduced me to some really important concepts and ways of thinking about uh, relief operations, development operations, and the ideas around health and wealth that led me to Wealth with two L's. And I just wanted to share that quick story with you is because it was through a lot of mulling things over and playing with ideas and making presentations, weaving it into my work when I got back to Canada that I really started to see how these words played themselves out. And I want to share with you sort of my current understanding of these words so that you might get to appreciate them. Now, please remember this is a broad stroke. I will spend time in other videos going deeper into them, but let's just unpack them here today as a starting point to see what might happen for yourself. And I would certainly ask you to comment and below, and if not, direct message me. If you have other questions, use the contact page on Wealth Movement. But let's start with health and heal. And I look at health as an outcome, and it's about to maintain physical, mental, emotional, soluble, spiritual, holistic wellness through proactive ABCs. And now ABCs here is activities, behavior, and consequences. Just a very short way of reminding us of the what unfolds, a process that unfolds. But it's this notion of this holistic wellness, bringing all these different elements together underneath the banner of health. Sometimes we just think of it from a physical point of view. We certainly find more of the mental, emotional, but we may not bring in the soul, spiritual, and the actual holistic perspectives. But I think times are shifting, and that notion of health is broadening. And the basis of health is heal. Heal is a verb, which is to restore, repair, health or wholeness after injury, illness, damage, disruption. So this notion of healing. And when I brought this notion of heal and health together and expanded and extended this understanding, I came to truly appreciate what this aspect of living our great life, this living our legacy life, is about. And then I started to unpack and appreciate a little bit more about the term wealth, because I said to myself, hang on a minute, when was it that we brought this concept of wealth in? Because I remember the notion of richness and riches and money, but wealth always seemed to be sort of a newer term. I know that there was the Book of Wealth that was written back in the 1800s. And I said, well, let me dig into this just a little bit more and see where it comes from. And that's when I went, oh, there's wheel. And I went, oh, hang on a minute. This is kind of a fantastic story that's unfolding. So, wealth as an outcome is to ensure, yes, the financial security for independence, and it is to assign resources to assure the assistance. So, wealth was connected to this notion of health, is that you could get access to better health practices if you had a bit more wealth, discretionary funds to support accessing that. So, wheel then became a noun to me, which was to experience a state of satisfaction or a condition of happiness. And it's about the general collective good, prosperity of the community. So wealth with community was advancing the good, the prosperity aspect of things. There was still the notion of the money and the riches that you had, but wealth wheel actually expanded this notion of what riches meant. And this wealth and health story really started to unfold, which brought me into an understanding of wealth, is because if wealth and health, spelt with the EA, are sort of chasing themselves a little bit around, chasing and chasing and chasing, then something has to bring them out, to bring them together. And that was wealth and well. And wealth as an outcome was to encourage well being for self and well living with others. And it was to shape and share the valuing of a meaningful lifestyle, a lifestyle where you had the health and the wealth to enjoy it. So, well as an adjective became feel safe, things functioning properly, and experience quality and abundance. Is that wealth was what health and wealth working together could give you, was this notion of wealth. And therefore, the idea of wealth movement was born, the path of wealth movement was born and brought forward. And I said, well, that's great. That's a great understanding. And thanks to those that I met in that African experience, and those who I got a chance to present these ideas to and dig around and play around a little bit more. And what it did was it just kept reminding me of what was the origin of these three words, these three terms. If I went back, and the thread to strings to cord to rope was Hale and Hearty. And I went, oh, I like those terms. And I said, okay, what does Hale and Hearty means? And then I found words like strong and vigorous and robust and energetic, lively, thriving, fit, and sturdy. So I started writing about them in my journals. I started making more presentations about them and asking people what they thought about what was available. And I kept playing with them, playing with them, playing with it, till I got to a point that I came up with this very simple presentation, this simple model diagram, if you will, bringing them all together. And I kept saying to myself, well, there has to be some connection. Was there competition? Is there collaboration? And this is what I came up with, is built on the triangle of health and heal, wealth and wheel, wealth and well. And remember, I mentioned is that wealth and health were sort of, in a sense, chasing each other, a little bit like the affinity sign, or if you know anything about the Mobius strip, where it takes the affinity sign and puts a twist in it. I'd certainly encourage you to look it up. I'll put a link to an article on place a Wikipedia down below. But if wealth and health are chasing themselves, and wealth with two L's was what brought it forward, then I reminded myself the L's, the more L's were, listening, laughing, leading, leveraging, loving, leverage, legacy, life. Oh, there's so much more to play with here with wealth. And that brought the whole notion of, yes, they're all connected. Is there a competition between them? For some, there is a competition with, well, what wealth do I have with the EAL and the health? There are still those who don't have that wealth, the money, the currency to take care of themselves and find themselves in health situations that are not favorable. Yet, from a collaborative point of view, they do come together. If you do find ways in which to support yourself to find that wealth and health, to get to wealth with two L's, then there is a collaboration that's available. And that's sort of what I'm hinting at along this path of wealth movement. How might you find all of that for yourself? And that's where this notion of solo aging confidently and how we bring these three terms together and find ways in which to nurture them and nourish them in our lives. And that was where the fun began when I started to bring together the wealth movement. And now here I am bringing these terms together, linking them to solo aging confidently. And more is going to be shared in other videos as we go along. But today, with this video, I wanted to just really emphasize an important element, which is the Wellth Clover, the Wellth Clover. So I just wanted to acknowledge, thank you for listening in. And if you want to, go back and just listen to the use of words, the ideas that are being expressed here, journal some thoughts, comment below, share some thoughts with others, and maybe bring those comments back to the video or into your journal. Encourage you to subscribe and like what you see here. And let's continue to develop the solo aging confidently, bringing the collaboration of wealth with an A, health, and wealth with the two L's. So this four-leaf clover, you know what the Irish say about it? It's lucky. And I took it and said, I think that would actually make sense if I was to look at the well-being clover and putting it in relationship to a person. And I said, well, what would be the areas that would be linked to each component, each element of that four leaves? And so each leaf would represent something. Now, if you remember at the very beginning, I mentioned that this was a activity that I gave to those learners when I was a college instructor. And so I'm sharing them with you because you may want to take a look at it and say, over the course of a week, how do I assign my time? You could do it in 15-minute blocks or half-hour blocks. Am I putting it into health and wellness or leisure and recreation or philanthropy and volunteerism or wealth or work? And just keep track and see what happens for you. And I know that the learners back then found it very eye-opening, and they went, oh, I hadn't really thought of it from this point of view. And I said, well, what kind of adjustments would you make then in living your extraordinary life, knowing what you now know? And we had some really great dialogue about that. But here, this is just a way for you to take a look at your own life. But this idea of wealth is well being, but it's also the notion of well living. So there is this idea of family and friends. Now, I appreciate from a solo aging point of view, you may not have the direct family. You may not have them living close by, or you don't have them because you're single and you find yourself traveling by yourself. But there are friends around that you could invite to get involved with you, just as you get involved in direct social groups and indirect social groups, and you have your work colleagues that you can get involved with. So there are ways in which to bring this well-being for yourself forward, this notion of well living. So if you think of well-being, Clover, as your unique journey, the well living, Clover, as your adventures together. Sort of see where that takes you. Now, here's a fun way to do a little bit of a self assessment. What would happen if you used a scale of 1 to 5, one being low and 5 being high? Let's just use those terms. And you were to do a self assessment and say, okay, where am I situated from my involvement in leisure and recreation between 1 and 5? One being not really great, 5 is, oh, I've got a really full expression. Do the same thing for health and wellness, wealth and work, philanthropy, and volunteerism. And you sort of think about it as, leisure recreation 3, health and wellness 2, wealth and work, well, it's 4, philanthropy and volunteerism is 2. That gives you a picture of to take a look at. You could say in a month's time it might be a little bit different, but guess what? You could do the same kind of thing with your well living, Clover, and your interactions with direct social group, this 1 to 5, 1 being low, 5 being fully engaged in all of this, and sort of see what pattern pops out for you. And maybe a month later, do it again and see what kind of pattern and what meaningful pattern recognition do you get from your well being, Clover, and your well living, Clover. But here's something I would offer to you, and I'm going to do my best to share it here with you through sort of bringing an X through and thinking about it for yourself. Now, this X is really the top two red bars. Think of those if you extended your arms out. And the two bottom red bars, think of those as your legs. So if you're standing there and you're looking at someone and they have their arms extended and their legs extended, you would see an X. And if you then had that person turn around, you would see their back and you would still see their arms and legs extended. But if you did it for yourself and you're walking this path as though you see it in the picture, you could be expressing to yourself, well, hang on a minute. How am I doing today? And maybe my leisure recreation isn't fully extended. My philanthropy and volunteerism isn't. My health and wellness, well, it's got a pretty good extension that I'm doing good work and wealth. You would start to see an image of yourself, and you can now feel it in your body. So you embody that. So then the next day you might go, okay, what would I feel like today? And over the course of a week. So this is just a check-in way of looking at your life and seeing what is happening for you. So when you blend that well-being, Clover, and you think about it on this day-to-day basis, what meaningful patterns do you recognize? Now, you could use this Wealth Clover and change it out for the well living and sort of ask yourself, how am I doing with my connections with others, and embody that story. So this well being, using this Wealth Clover, this extension, is about your unique journey when you're doing the well living, Clover, through this wealth picture here. It's about your adventures together. So you have some tools and techniques here to really take a look at what's happening in your life, what's unfolding and unfolding through these 4 areas, and what's the luck that you bring forward because of it. So again, this was the assignment I gave those learners. They did a lot of learning, and then over the course of the 3 months, we had a lot of great dialogue. Sometimes we opened up with some observations, and people shared their meaningful patterns that they recognized. And I actually worked it into an exam question for them, so that was kind of fun to find a way to do a little bit of summary. But this is for you as well, as you're solo aging confidently. How might you use this tool technique in support of yourself? So as you walk your path of wealth movement through this time of solo aging confidently, you have access to other terms like legacy and experience, safety, educating, and nature. And it's words like these that give depth and enrich your experience, your evolving experience. And when you link it to words like health and wealth with an A and wealth with an L, and bring the meanings of heal, wheel, and well together, and appreciate the connections that's there, even though there is a little bit of competition, but to truly see how they collaborate, then what you're able to do is come to an understanding of the Wealth Clover as a self-assessment tool, and bring out on a day-to-day basis or weekly basis these areas of living your extraordinary life, living this solo aging confident life that's available to you, and linking it to living a legacy life. That is one of the extensions, expansions that's available in working with wealth movement. So I just wanted to remind you from a Hale and Hearty perspective, what would happen if you brought words like strong, vigorous, robust, energetic, lively, thriving, fit, sturdy into your life from a solo aging confidently perspective? I enjoy bringing them in, so I thought that I would just share them with you, remind you. You can bring them into your journaling, you can bring them into your adventures together with others. Now, as we sort of switch gears a little bit, I'm going to take you in. Now we find ourselves in the Statsy bit. Let's have a little fun here. You remember in these Sunday videos, I am going to share a little bit of my story that's unfolding with YouTube. So I'm using YouTube shorts and longs videos to share ideas with you. And the path that I'm following is to find a way in which to monetize the channel so that I can raise money in support of my legacy projects. And to be able to get there, there are certain criteria that YouTube has set, which is the number of subscribers that you need to have and the number of watch time or watch hours. So over the past week, there has been an increase of 16 persons. So now have 196 subscribers out of the necessary 1,000. A little way to go, but 16 up over a week, that's pretty good. That's one of the biggest jumps I've ever had in my whole time of being on YouTube. And for the 365 days, currently looking to get up to 4,000 in that 365 days, I've got 95.2 hours. So I've got quite a bit of hours to go. But what happens is when you start bringing in a lot more subscribers, those hours go up. And that's why if I can get your support to subscribe, comment, share, like, that would be wonderful. And let's see if we can't get this moving and grooving so that I can monetize it, so I can start raising some money for those legacy projects. And one of them is in Kenya. One is across Canada, and then a local project in the Calgary area. Now, my learning in all of this is I'm learning every day about titles and thumbnails and context formatting. I've got notes galore, then watching lots of videos from other persons. So it's a continuous learning, continuous improvement, and I'm enjoying it immensely because I always like that challenge to see what I can do to improve my professional and personal approach to solo aging and living this legacy life. So that's the Statsy bit, just to bring you up to date. So hopefully that gives you a bit more of an understanding of what is taking place. And again, if I can be of assistance, you're looking at using YouTube for what it is that I know based on what's happening, or I can certainly suggest someone to look at, then please ask away. So that's taking us to a point where big thank you. Thank you for watching. And journaling, I'm hoping you stopped along the way, journal, commenting here, sharing, subscribing, liking. That'd be wonderful. Now, the next video will be looking at this notion of movement, the path of wealth movement from a movement perspective, and bringing that to the foreground. And at that time, I'm going to explain a bit more about the audience. Yes, it's solo agers. Yet I'm going to be looking at bringing some really interesting characters into the mix. And if you're one of those characters, then I'm going to encourage you to get more involved with what we're doing. And I'm going to leave a little bit of it as a mystery there. So we'll see you on the next video. Take care.